Um, Hi there. Uh, Welcome back to another tutorial for Flutter installation, and this is Nelly to how to take you through here. And today we're going to be looking at how to install Flutter on different OS platforms uh, using Windows and Mac OS. Those preferring the use of Linux operating systems, maybe we shall deal with that later. But for now, we are going to be going through Mac OS operating system and Windows operating system. Yeah, so I'll take you through the installation process and what most likely we really need to install. Yeah, so I have a uh, notepad here, and first of all, I mentioned out what we need first. So we need to allocate and install and allocate Flutter SDK, and this is a software development toolkit that Flutter uses for us to actually communicate with the, the Flutter plugins. Then we integrate them in our application, and so that we move on. Yeah. So far, we first need to install the Flutter SDK before anything, because that's what we are actually going to use to understand our code. Yeah, and with Flutter, we use what we call Dart. Okay, let me not mention it here. We use what we call Dart programming language. So most of our code will be into that actually. Yeah. So secondly, we need Android Studio. So this is going to help us into fetching for the Gradle files and maybe for the debugging mode and blah blah. Then we shall also need Git. Yeah. Git actually, I usually use this in terms of maybe during the use of the commit to the GitHub, and we shall see other use with time. Then Node.js usually this is for Flutter CLI, or I usually call it Flutter Firebase database. Yeah, so this Node.js will actually help us to be able to link our applications to Firebase in case Firebase is your first priority when it comes to databases. Yeah, some people use PHP as database servers, right? But preferably Firebase is really very much flexible with Flutter, and its integration is very wonderful. And they have actually introduced Flutter CLI that automatically configures your application database to your app directly without having to cram a lot of things in the head. Yeah, so it is very much easier to link your database for users and your cloud directly to your application within a few steps. So Node.js will actually help us to do that. Then environment variables, here we shall actually access where the location of Flutter SDK is located. Then command prompt, we shall try to see what happens with that. Then VS Code is the editor we're actually going to be using apparently. However much most people can actually prefer using different editors, let's say Sublime Text or Notepad plus plus, or different editors actually. But I really recommend VS Code because actually it is very flexible with Flutter, and it's very much recommended. Why? Because it has different plugins. Um, Plugins we can actually implement while we are actually coding, and they really make coding so very much easier. Yeah, so we shall go into the installation one by one. And yes, fine, we are using Mac apparently, but I'm going to first show you how to install using Windows, then we come to Mac later on. Yeah, as for me, I'll be using a Mac device. Hopefully, I don't know whether you'll be using a Mac or using Windows, but apparently I'll be showing you the installation on both platforms, both OS. So first of all, we are going to go into Windows installation. Yeah, so for the Windows installation, I'm not going to switch to another PC directly, but I'm going to access my PC remotely, and I'm using Chrome Remote Desktop. yeah, to access my PC remotely. So I have it over here so that I don't make two videos of that of PC that is having Windows, then I come back to Mac and still do another PC, then add the two videos now. So I'll just access my other PC online. Yeah, it's my home PC. Okay, we are through. Okay, so it's right here. Then I'll put in password and it'll go on. All right, so we shall be looking to the installation now. Yeah. Initially, when I was talking about the things we need Android Studio. So Android Studio is already installed. And in case you don't know where to get Android Studio, just navigate to your browser. This is our website, sorry. Just navigate to your browser, whether you're using Chrome or Firefox, whatever you're dealing with. Yeah. Say download. Android Studio. So apparently we're having Android Studio Geography. Yeah, that's the latest version per this minute. I don't know by the time you'll be viewing this video. I don't know the current most recent Android Studio version actually you will be having by that time. But apparently today, 2023, we're having this. Yeah. So you click here and download the specific uh, update you want. So it will prompt you. Because I'm already using a Mac, so that's why they're prompting me to either install that for Intel chip or that of Apple chip. Yeah. So you have to agree here and continue. So I'm using a Mac Intel chip, so I'll install this. That is for Mac. But if you're using Windows, you're already having let me just close this. Because the system is actually choosing out auto choosing for me because I'm already using a Mac. Yeah, so that's why the direct install that is coming in for Mac, not Windows. Okay, I guess let's do it the other side. So let's just go to our Chrome desktop. Let's just go to our Windows. Then we open up. Okay, just use Windows throughout. So here we shall download um, Android Studio. Okay, still for Windows it's the same. So you click that, then it will prompt you to agree and continue. Have read and agreed the the above terms and conditions. So here they're directly showing you that you're downloading Android Studio Geography 2022 patch blah 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 for Windows, because the operating system for this machine that I'm browsing on is Windows. Yeah, so it auto picks the platform you're dealing with. Yeah, so I don't want to install, so I'll go back because I already downloaded this and I already have it. Yeah, so you download it and go ahead and extract it and install it. Yeah, apparently it will look like this. Okay, so going to my PC, then I think I have it over here, and software and studio here. Yeah, so it will be like this. Then you double click and install. It will take you through the installation process and blah blah blah. So apparently right now I've already installed my Android Studio. I don't need to do that again. Yeah, I don't need to repeat the process again. Yeah, so I'll skip that for now. Skip that for now. I'll minimize this. And something else I mentioned out that we need is after installing Android Studio, we need Git. We need Git. So you can go to any browser and download Git. So we shall still use Firefox over here. And say download Git. Git for Windows. You go to the Git site. So here you choose the architecture you're dealing with. Yeah, if your Windows platform is your Windows OS platform is 64-bit, then you go in for Git for 64-bit setup. If it's having a 32-bit architecture, then you go in for 32-bit architecture. Yeah. However much some people install this through the terminal as well. You can install Git using the PowerShell, but just download it and install it normally. Yeah. Then I already installed Git, that's why you see it here. I have a shortcut. Yeah. So what else do we need? We need to go back here. Install Node.js. I said Node.js is actually for Firebase. Yeah. We want it. My preference is using it for Firebase as a database. Yeah, linking Firebase to it. But since that maybe in a future time you might not be in need of using Firebase. Let's say you're having another preference for a database. Maybe you're using a PHP or some other database servers. So let me skip that for now. Then something else we need to understand is the SDK. Number one, SDK. We need to download. We go to Flutter. We just go to Flutter page. Yeah, so download Flutter SDK. Build apps for any screen. So we shall click get started. Then for the install, they'll prompt us to choose the installation operating system we need. Yeah, because right now you'll be dealing with Windows, so you need to install that for Windows. So when you select Windows, they'll take you to a Windows installation page. Then let me just click OK for this. Get the SDK. Then here we shall actually download this. Yeah. So apparently the current version we're having is 3.13 per this time. I don't know by the time you'll be viewing this video. I don't know which current version of Flutter will be out. Yeah. So you download this zip, then it goes into your computer. just like this. Oh, mine is 3.10.6. That is the previous version that I got, because I see the new version is 3.13. Yeah. So let's say this is the one that I have. What you do, you extract this folder to a specified directory you want. Yeah. So because mine is on local disk, the second new volume. Yeah, not C. Otherwise, some people would prefer maybe extracting this here, extracting whatever is inside here, there. But apparently, because I have more space here, so I extracted it here. In this, let me first open it up, just like this. Okay, so in this zip folder, we have a Flutter folder, and I extracted it here. So extraction, you can just right click, right click on the zip folder, then you extract here. So wherever you want to extract, maybe if you have a different location you want to extract to, then you say extract files, then they will allocate you where you want to install it or to extract it, then it will actually automatically go there. Yeah. Then after installing that, and this is our location for, this is the location for our Flutter. The next step is going into the environment variables. So we shall edit the system environment variables. We edit the path. We shall click edit the path. As you see here, I already have the location where my Flutter folder is installed, and we allocate the bin folder of that directory for Flutter. So to allocate it, usually you come to Flutter where I've extracted it, wherever it is. Then you come to the bin folder, you open it up, then you come up here and you copy this. When you copy that, you come here and say we are writing a new, then you paste it, or we are pasting it. You paste it like that. So because it's already here, I'm not going to paste it for the second time. Yeah, so I'll just delete it. So after pasting it, then you click OK. OK. And done. And something else we are missing out, actually, I missed out to note it out. After Git, we need to install what we call JDK. Yeah, we need to install Java Development Toolkit. Yeah. This is more usable when you're using the debugging on physical devices, actually. Yeah, for the JDK, already have, I think I'll just share these into the description so that someone can get them. Otherwise, it's really good to get the latest versions of these toolkits. Yeah, so this is here. Apparently, I think it's 20. Really? Yeah, we can check out that. Yeah, we can check out that. Let me see. Download JDK. DJK. It's JDK. Yeah, so it takes us to Oracle downloads. Yeah, so we have Java 21. Yeah, I thought it's 20. Have Java 21 and we have 17 available as well. So we shall click our installation for Windows. If it's Linux, you download Linux. If it's Mac OS, you download Mac OS. Yeah, so here we shall go with installer for 64-bit architecture. Yeah, either this or the compressed archive file in case you want to keep it. Yeah, so you download any of these. When you download any of that, then install what you have downloaded as well, because me, I already downloaded it here. I had 20 by that time. Then after installing the JDK, you will have to also allocate where the installed JDK is. Yeah. So apparently by default, we install these softwares in C. When you go to program files, then you see a folder named Java. So we have the Java JDK. You open it up, you also access its bin folder. Then we get its location up here. You copy it. Then you go to back to environment variables, back to your path. We edit the path. And we add a new location or directory path. Yeah, just because I already have it here, because I already added it here, program files Java JDK blah 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 bin. I'm not going to add it again. Yeah, purposely I wanted to show you how to access the directory path. So I'll click cancel. I'll click OK. After that, then I'll click OK here. So when all that is done, what is left out, we shall go back to our list. Yeah, so we have done this. We have done Android Studio, we have done Git, we have done JDK. I said this is optional in case you want to specify Firebase as your database, but we shall look into this when we are going into maybe using Firebase in our lessons. Yeah, I'll explain that, I guess. Yeah. Then we're going to command prompt now to check whether we have installed our Flutter correctly. So what you do, you come here, then we shall say this is shall sketch for command prompt, or just type cmd here. Just type cmd. We always have the command prompt, so open it up, then we shall type Flutter. Okay, so this might depend on your processor you're having and how fast your internet is, because apparently the very first initial thing you need to do is that Flutter uses an online database to connect with the plugins. Yeah, so I'm using internet throughout so that I can check for the version of Flutter in case, let's say, let me scroll down here. So when this comes up, Flutter commands, Flutter create, Flutter what, then that means you have successfully connected your Flutter very well, and your path is valid. But to check for Flutter dash version, check for Flutter version that I'm having 3.10.6. Yeah, I didn't install the currently the current Flutter framework actually. Yeah, so I use the already downloaded one, but in case I really need to upgrade, I can actually just change the path to a new one, then I can access the new version that I've downloaded. Otherwise, there are easier ways still how to upgrade Flutter. Usually we use Flutter upgrade, Flutter upgrade, but I'm not going to upgrade here because it will take a lot of time. Yeah, I'll do that later. But something else we need to check, we shall need to check Flutter Doctor whether we have installed all requirements for Android Studio, for Flutter SDK, and VS Code. We haven't installed VS Code, but you also need it. So it's very much easier. You go to your browser as well. VS Code. So you go to VS Code website over here. Then you download that for Windows. So after downloading it, then you have to install it. I don't have it here. Okay. Yeah, you install VS Code, then you're done. Then after installing VS Code, then we shall go into checking for our installed software. So I'll run Flutter Doctor. Flutter Doctor actually is helping us to give us a summary for the required softwares to be installed, whether they have been actually correctly installed or not, and what is missing in your Flutter installation SDKs to be used. Yeah, so that's the use actually. So we shall be checking that. So it is telling us that Flutter channel stable state, then this is the current version. Sorry, this is the version that I installed for Flutter SDK. Yeah, then it's saying this is our Windows version installed. It's for 10. It's 10 or higher because I'm using Windows 10. Yeah, if it's 11, it will still show Windows 10 or higher. If it's Windows 7, it will still show you the Windows platform you're on. If it's Mac, it will still show you the platform OS you're using. Then it is telling us that we need to activate Android toolchain. Android toolchain, it's saying Android SDK version 34. I already installed that, but we're going to see how to actually install all this. Then we need to accept Android licenses. They're saying that they are not accepted. To resolve these, run Flutter Doctor Android licenses. So that's what we're going to do apparently. So I'll just copy up this. I'll just copy it up and paste it. Flutter Doctor Android licenses. Then I run. So I need to activate them. Okay, so review licenses, blah blah blah. I press OK. That is Y for yes and N for no. So we shall just accept everything over here. Just accept. If you want to read through, you can still read through. Yeah, but apparently we don't have time for that. Or SDK package licenses accepted. So we shall go back into running Flutter Doctor and we check again. Okay, so everything is okay. Apparently we're having a warning for Visual Studio. This is to develop for Windows. Visual Studio Build Tools 2019. Blah blah blah. Okay, the current version of Visual Studio installation is incomplete. Please install Visual Studio. So this is just a recommendation in case you're going to be using Visual Studio. And Visual Studio is a platform that helps different developers to come up with Windows platforms or Windows softwares actually. Yeah, but we shall have that session later. We're not going to be dealing with with softwares for Windows apparently. However much Flutter does that, we don't need Visual Studio to develop a Windows software. Flutter does it all just using VS Code. Yeah. So then it is recommending us to also install VS Code and Android Studio. This is already tick. This is tick. Connected devices 3. Okay, I have some connected devices here. Yeah, and network resources is okay. Yeah, that's fine. So that's all you need. And something we need to really take in of for Android Studio. Let's try to open Android Studio because I already installed Android Studio, so I'll try open it up here. Okay. So while it's opening up, yeah, with Android Studio, we need to confirm like over 3 things. We need Android Studio actually to help us first with a Gradio installs or Gradio debugging features, and we need its SDK as well because each and every application you're actually going to build, it really needs an Android SDK. The SDK version for Android Studio, it's what restricts the it's what restricts the application platform where it's going to be installed. Yeah, so if your Android version for your phone, let's say we are dealing with installing an Android application, right? So if your Android version is below the minimum or maximum is below the minimum SDK for Android Studio that you installed, then that application won't be installed on that device. Yeah, let's say if you're having Lollipop, that is I think that's Android 5.0.1 blah blah. Yeah, if your SDK is below uh, 21, it's actually 18 or 16, that application won't work on that device. You understand? So the SDK for Android Studio is actually very, very much important because it actually tells you that the more the SDK you have for Android Studio, the more applications you actually install onto that current version of Android phone or version you're having. Yeah, let me just illustrate this. You open Android Studio, then you will go to SDK Manager. Or usually this option is actually here as well. So we shall open the SDK Manager. I already installed these SDKs and I'm having 2 SDKs installed. I have that for API 34 and I have that for 21. That is the Lollipop I was talking about. Yeah. So I usually take as 21 to be minimum to me, yeah, and the maximum to be that very current version. I haven't upgraded to this one. I think this is 34 point something, the one that's having upside down cake privacy something. Yeah, but in case you're using Android 8 Oreo, that is 26. So the higher SDK for Android you have, the compatibility, the more compatible your app is. Yeah, and the the less minimum Android version, sorry, the less minimum Android SDK that you restrict your app to be, then the more devices you'll accompany to install. Let's say if I put in my application, we shall see that when we are dealing with the application itself. If I put my minimum SDK to be 15, because this is the API level and it's the SDK API level, so that means all devices starting from Android 4.0.3 upwards to the maximum, they'll be allowed to install this app. Otherwise, below this, sorry, I mentioned 16 or 15. Yeah, below 15, that is Android 4.0, 3.2, blah blah blah, and down, they won't be able to install this application as time. Yeah, so we shall see how to deal with that, because different plugins allow a minimum Android SDK to be installed. So initially, I'll prompt you to install the latest one that is actually showed there. Then we proceed to the tools. When we go to the SDK tools, we shall actually have to activate this. Initially, in the previous Android Studio versions, we are not actually having that installed automatically, but nowadays it comes within already installed. But if it's not there in the version that you're having, then you have to install it. So you have to come here and tick it, apply, and you to install. Yeah, the rest of the plugins that are shown down here, it depends whether you're using them or not. Google Play Services Library, in case you're to use them. Google USB driver, apparently you don't need them, but I need this. I need this because the HAXM installer, this actually helps me to run my emulator on Android Studio. Yes, because Android Studio is going to help us first with the SDK, so that we restrict the Android version installation. Yeah. Then secondly, it's going to actually help us to give us a platform where we can actually test our application, and that is called the emulator system. So we shall actually look into how we install emulator system or emulator tool on our devices as well. Yeah. So after doing that, then we shall press OK. I haven't changed any changes, but you actually have to install all that. Yeah. So for the virtual device, that is the emulator I was talking about. So you go to virtual device. In case you really need one, you'll have to install one already installed here. I have a Pixel 3 API, blah 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 blah. Yeah, already installed one. But in case you don't know how to create one, you have to click create a device. Create a device. Then here you choose the size, or you choose the different phone type you will want. Yeah, so in case you choose maybe Pixel 4, then you click next. After clicking next, you choose the API level you want it to carry on. Yeah, so if you don't have an API level, that is the SDK. That's the SDK for Android Studio. Yeah, if you don't have the API level that you installed, whether 21 from 20, 21, 15 or 16 or 30 or 33 or 34, I explained that is API is responsible for the SDK for Android Studio and still responsible for the Android version of the device as well. So it's API level, API 34, they're showing you the name, then API level is 34, then API is both 64 and 32 devices, right? Yeah, 86 means 32. Then we have the target devices. They'll go for Android API 34, Google APIs. Yeah. This is I think Android 12 and 13 point something to 14 actually. Then this for 33, it goes in for Android 13 and 12 below, 12.0. This is 12L, this is 11.0, this is 10, and downwards. Yeah. So you choose your preference. Which current Android version do you want to assign your emulator? So after choosing one, let's say you choose that, then you proceed to next. Then here you choose the name of the emulator device, the one you want. Then sometimes I really go to advanced features and I try to give it more space or more RAM. Yeah, I leave these normally. So here for the graphics, in case you have maybe more than one graphics card, you can specify whether you're using the software for it or using its you're using the hardware, the Intel, yeah, in case. So you leave it automatic. Then for the boot option, this is talking about when your emulator is starting up, right? Should it just do a quick boot, a warm boot, or it should start from zero? Like from zero, that's like a phone. You just putting it on for that is for the cold boot. Then for the quick boot is the warm boot, is like restarting it. Yeah, it keeps the recent changes that you made. Yeah, so you choose that as well in case you want. Then the RAM here you can increase accordingly. You want whether in MBs or GBs, then according to the RAM you have installed in your system. So it depends on this. Yeah, and this is the VRAM. In case you want, you can still increase. Then the storage you can also increase in case you have a lot of stuff to save on your virtual device that's going to be displayed. Yeah. After that, I guess this is all required. In case you have a custom skin, you can actually customize that, but that's less important. Yeah. In case you're done, then you can click finish. But because I don't want to install another one, I'll just click no and I go back. So I'll just close up these. So something else we need to install plugins now. We need to install plugins. So for the plugins we need in Android Studio, we need to install the Flutter plugin. The Flutter plugin, and we already installed that. So Flutter plugin will also prompt you to install what we call the DAT plugin automatically, and unlike unless if you want to install other plugins, let's say like Flutter snippets, this is going to help you to have hints on your coding. Yeah, I think that's all I need here. Yeah, some people use Android Studio for development, yeah, but specifically using the Flutter framework. But for us, we only need to use Android Studio for to give us the SDK, and later to also give us the emulator, right? Because VS Code does not provide us with the SDKs. Yeah, that's the main reason why I only need Android Studio, nothing much. Then after that, I think I just close up this because I'm not going to code using Android Studio. I'm going to be using VS Code. Okay, so after that, we come to VS Code. We shall try to open it up there. Yeah, I think machine is kind of being slow because I'm using a remote connection. Yeah, I'm accessing the PC remotely. Okay. So initially, this is how your VS Code would look like. Because I have recent projects here, some are not for Flutter. Yeah, that doesn't confuse you, I guess. Yeah, I don't need GitHub for now. So we shall go to extensions and we install our required extensions, just like how we did for the plugins we installed in Android Studio. So here we need a Flutter because that's what we are going to be using. We need a Flutter plugin. So we shall install it. We need a Flutter plugin. I'll list these plugins that we need. Let me just get an editor here. I mentioned out we need Flutter extension. This installs also the DAT. Yeah, then we shall need Flutter awesome snippets. We shall need error lens. Then we shall need material icons, and maybe brackets, pair brackets, bracket pairs. So as this is installing, I'll come back here and type oh, we need our some Flutter snippets. I'll install that. Then while it's still installing as well, I'll need I mentioned we need error lenses. Error lens, this will help us to scan, or actually to allocate us where we're having errors in our code. It actually highlights where we're having errors. Yeah, so we also need that. Then for the snippets, I installed earlier after, previously. Those will help us to actually auto autofill Flutter commands in case we don't need to write the entire syntax all the time. Yeah. Then after these, we shall need material icons. So we shall need material icons. This is just a theme, at least to show us different awesome look for our folders. We shall also install that. Yeah. Okay, so it's selecting us, it's prompting us to choose between the default visual code theme or the material theme. So we shall choose material theme. Material theme helps you to have a different look for your folders or files. So we have installed that. Then we shall also install Flutter widget snippets. Okay, you can actually use maybe awesome snippets or widget snippets. Widget snippets, these come from Apple, or it's likewise theme. Then something else we need also hints on yeah, we need brackets, bracket pair colorizer, so it will help us to show different sections. When you open up a bracket, it will color them up, the opening bracket and a closing bracket. Yeah, so that is very, very, very much useful as well. So we shall install that. I think these are deprecated, yeah, but I want to install anyway. Yeah, nowadays these bracket pairs come by default. That's why it was prompting me that it comes automatically nowadays in VS Code. It's configured directly. We don't need to install it. But in case you need the previous one, you can still install them. Yeah, according to the VS Code version you're having. That's why I'm actually recommending to install them. And like if you're having the latest one, the latest version of VS Code, you don't need to install them actually, because now they come directly installed. Yeah. Okay, so I usually also want this. So that is installed. That language is installed because we installed Flutter. Flutter comes with that language, so that is already installed because we are to use that language, that programming language, for that development, sorry, for Flutter development actually. Yeah, so this is done, and that's how you install Flutter on Windows. Yeah, to test whether we are through, we shall come and say Control Shift P. So we shall create a new Flutter project. We're creating an application. We're storing it somewhere around here, my bigger space around here. So I think I'll create a new folder here, then I'll name it developer apps. So that's the folder I want to install in. So I'll open it up, then I'll select folder. So selecting folder, then I'll say this is my first Flutter applications, or I'll name it my app. So it will run Flutter create. Yes, I trust the parent folder, and it will create me the relevant files that I need to use. Leave around this console ninja. Yeah, this is a previous file. Okay, so ninja now available. No, I don't need it. So it is running Flutter create. That is the command to create a new Flutter project. And you can also do this creating a new project using your command prompt. Yeah. So you run Flutter create, then you specify the app name. So it's creating us different. So far this is all what we need. This is all what we need. So it has created us files, and we are ready to code. Yeah, under the lib folder. So that's how we can actually create, sorry, install Flutter on Windows. So we are going to be looking into how to now install Flutter on a Mac. Yeah, so I'll close this. I'll close this. I think I'll minimize this. Then I go back to Mac. Go back to Mac. Okay. So that was how to install Windows. Sorry, that was how to install Flutter on Windows. So now we're going to be looking into how to install Flutter and set up Flutter using a Mac. Yeah. So this is a different operating system, but we literally need the same software as we installed initially. Yeah. So I'll just close up this, and I'll just also close up this. I don't need it. Yeah. So let's say you're having a Mac, just like me, because I'm very much into using a Mac than Windows. Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of really more faster. So for Mac, we still need Android Studio. Let me just grab my, where is it? Did I lose it? I don't know whether I really saved up my note or not, because this was C. Control A, we delete it. We said we need Android Studio. Android Studio. We have Android Studio. We need the Flutter SDK, we need to allocate. In Windows, we allocated the environment variables. Here we allocate the root folder. For Flutter, and this is either I call them ZH or PR profile. Yeah, we shall see that. Then we also need to activate the what else? Command line tools. We shall see that. Okay, just go straight to business. Okay, so let's say you have installed Android Studio. I already have it here. So I showed you previously how to install Android Studio for Mac. You go to Android Studio, developer.android.com. Then you go to download it. Then it will prompt you to download for a specific processor you're having. So if you're having an Intel chip, you install Android Studio for the Intel chip. If you're having a Mac with an Apple chip, install that with Mac chip. Yeah, so there are two different versions according to your Mac architecture actually. So I'll not download it because I already have it. So I'll minimize here. Let's say I've installed my Android Studio, and what else do I need? I need to install Flutter SDK. So I'll just go to Flutter. So download Flutter SDK native performance. So I'll click get started. Then I'll choose that I'm installing for Mac OS. Okay. So first of all, telling you that we expect you to be having operating system Mac OS version 10.14 and higher. So these are the requirements to install this SDK. So according to your Mac OS version, you have to actually begin with this. Otherwise, this SDK won't actually work on your operating system you're having, operating system version you're having. Yeah. Then with this available, this supposed to be available at least 5 GB or at least 3 GB. Yeah, they're saying 2.8 according to the SDK size that is actually there. So we have the SDK versions here, the current versions, that is 3.13 apparently right now. That is for the Intel chip, and this is for the Apple chip or the Apple Silicon chip. Yeah. So you download that zip folder accordingly to the chip that you're having. If it's an Intel chip, please don't download that for the Silicon chip. It won't work. Yeah. We can actually extract this downloaded folder, sorry, that downloaded file directly using using our command. Sorry, here we use the terminal, using the terminal. But let's say if that is really so hard, I think it gives people a hard time a bit. Yeah. Let's say you already downloaded it. I have it here. So it's under Nelly Staffs. Software. Then I have here. So this is the version that I'm having. I'm having the latest version. This is for Mac OS, Flutter Mac OS 3.134. Oh, this is not latest because they have added 0.6 here. Yeah, I think I will need to upgrade later. But whether you have upgraded yet or not, your Flutter SDK still works so very, very fine. However much, if an upgrade is actually made up, it's really recommended to upgrade because there are more plugins that actually come with the upgrade. So in case they bring in a new plugin that we actually have to use in our application and your SDK is actually below minimum requirements, you won't be able to actually access the plugin features. Yeah. So I have it over here. So just double click, it will extract. How much some people use a WinRAR to open zip files, but nowadays it's not really necessary. So it extracts the folder, and inside this zip file we have Flutter, so it has extracted the file Flutter within. So we need to access the location where we're actually allocating our Flutter SDK. Yeah. So this is the next path. After extraction, then you need to add a Flutter tool, add the Flutter tool to your path. Yeah, we need to assign Flutter. We need to get. We need to let Flutter know where the SDK is located, the path or directory path for your extracted folder. Yeah, so this is right here. Under software, you come to Flutter, open it up, then we're going to access the bin folder. Then within the bin folder, I'll get the info. Then I'll have where it's located. Then I'll say it's located under software. Then I'll copy up this. So that's the location. So when I copy up that, to show you very well, when I copy up that, it will be like that. So it's under users, Nelly Cyber, desktop, Nelly Staff, software, Flutter. Then we want to access the bin folder. We shall slash bin because it is the name, right? Slash bin. So that's the location we want because this is where the SDK is installed, the Flutter and that SDK that we're going to be using. That's where they are installed in the bin folder, and it's what we actually want to access. All right, so we proceed on. We go back to the installation instructions. So here after allocating the Flutter, then we shall run Flutter Doctor. But to allocate the path, we actually need to tell. Okay, let me see. Okay. Okay, we need to update the path. Let us let's get to see where we have to put the path. Yeah. So they're saying we have to export the path equals to path. Then here we shall actually put in the Flutter bin directory path just right here. And to show you where it is done, how it is done, we shall go to a terminal. We shall open up our terminal. I'll minimize this. Open up your terminal. What I did as this is a search area. Yeah, in case you don't have it up here, then you can just press command space. So command space helps you to bring up that, so that you just type terminal, then it comes just like that. So here it will open up my terminal. Then I'll try to access where I want to put or where I want to export my Flutter SDK path. So initially some people use Vim to open up an editor, or some people use Nano. So I'll say Nano, then space that, then Z. So it depends on where your directory root is. So some people have a bash profile instead of ZHCR. So in case you're using a SHRC, sorry, you use this. In case you're using a batch profile, then you have to just type batch profile instead of ZSHR. So I just click enter. Then I have all my exported paths here. Yeah. So this is the first path I'm having, export path. Then users, Nelly Cyber, Twaha, Flutter, then bin. And to access this, I'll just show you where it is. Users. These are users. I had sorted it here. Then users. Then I'm having tracks. Then I'm having Flutter. As you see, tracks, Flutter, bin, Flutter, then bin. So this is where my Dart and Flutter plugins are located. So it's the same thing you really need to do. You need to export the path. So we are replacing this. We are replacing this. Let me just copy up this. And I go to here. We are replacing this. Oh, we're replacing this with the path. Sorry, someone was calling me. Okay. So bring up a terminal and I'll show you what I mean. So we shall export the path into users Nelly Cyber desktop blah 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 bin, and that's similarly like this because that's where my directory for Flutter SDK is, as I showed you here. Yeah. So I'll close up here, then I'll close up this. I don't need it. Then I'll also close up this. So after putting that, the rest of what you're seeing as Ruby Jam, we shall install or we shall export those paths when we need to. So after doing that, then you will press Ctrl X to exit. Then they prompt you to save the changes and press yes. Yes is why, then to come back here. And once all that is done, then we shall run Flutter Doctor to check whether all the dependencies or all the plugins have been put very straight. Because they're telling us that run the following command to see if there are any dependencies you need to install to complete the setup. Okay. So we shall go to our terminal now and run Flutter Doctor. So it's telling us the new version of Flutter is available. Yeah, because we have a slightly a lower version because the current version is 3.13.6. Yeah. So I'm missing a 0.2. Okay. So per my current installations, I'm having everything okay because I have Flutter SDK. Okay. Then I'm having Android toolchains that is activated. Yeah, the same way how we activated them for Windows is the same way here. If they're prompting you to activate them, they will provide you a code to how to activate them. So you copy it up, then you provide it down here and run it. Usually it's Android. -- licenses, then activate something there. Yeah. So I'll not just write all that. Then we shall install also Xcode. You need Xcode because Xcode Xcode is actually going to help you to develop iOS applications. Yeah, so we need Xcode. So to install Xcode, you go to App Store, then you search for Xcode. So you install the current Xcode which is there. If you need a lower version for Xcode, you will have to manually get it and install it separately, not using the correct install from App Store. Otherwise, always App Store will have the current Xcode, actually Xcode version. Yeah. Then something else would be Android Studio. Yeah, I showed you how to install Android Studio. I guess you already installed that. Yeah, just that initially it's bringing my recent project that I was working on. That's not what I really want. I need to exit out of it. Sorry. Okay. Let me just close that. Okay. So initially, we need to install all the also plugins in Android Studio. Yeah. However much it is already there and it's having the latest version in under an Flutter Doctor, you also have to come here and over here you go to SDK, you install the SDK you want. As I explained, that SDKs actually are responsible for the Android version as well that you need to be using for your application. Yeah. So the current SDK will help you to use the most. Sorry, will help you to will help you in a way that your application will be installed on the most recent Android version of your device, or for the client device, or for the end user device. Yeah. Then besides that, I think I don't want to show package details. Yeah. So I have Android 12, I have 10, I have 33, that is Android 13. Then I have Android 12 as well. Then I have Android 13L as well. So currently we have API 34. This is not installed yet, but I really need it because I'll use it for some applications that I'm to install in a later time. Then we go to SDK tools. We need to install command line tools. We have an update, so we shall actually take up that update. So I'll click OK. Oh, I didn't choose it. You come here, then I need to download it. You need to download this. You need to download it, tick it, then say apply. So I'll press OK. We shall wait it for it to download. So this is still depending on your internet speed and stuff. Okay, so I'll pause the video and wait until when this installation is done, and then we can proceed as well. But literally, this is how we install Flutter on Mac. Yeah. So the most important things we need Android Studio, we need Xcode. I didn't include this. We need Xcode. We need Flutter SDK. We need to allow Flutter to access our root directory for for the location of the Flutter SDK that we have extracted under the bin folder, and I showed you how to do that. Then to allocate that, I said we can use nano to give me suggestions. Nano for the that's then / then dot ZSHRC, or we can use nano space and then bash. If your root directory is a bash profile, then you use the bash. If it is a ZSH profile, then you use that. Because when I run my terminal, this is how you see, you check which root a folder that you should access. I'm using a ZSH, so my terminal is probably me to use that. If it's a bash profile, then I'll actually have to access my Flutter folder directory SDK using the bash profile. Yeah, but I don't need to do that. I'll just close this up. Yeah, while this is actually finishing up, I think it's just almost. Yeah, it's just almost. And while it is finishing up, so I'll still comment about the all right, it's done. Then we shall click finish. So right now we don't have any update. If I need an update for the Android emulator, then I have to do that. For the Android emulator, we go back here. And we choose virtual device. So if we need to a virtual device, I already have 3 virtual devices connected. So if you need to create a new one, just come to create device. Then you choose a preferred skin you really want. Click next. Then you choose an API level you want it to be installed. So I have Android Q already installed. Where you see this download arrow, this is not downloaded yet. This is Android 10. This is Android 11 for 30. This is having API. We have release name. We have API level. We have API. API is HTTP target. Then we have the target device. Yeah. Already have this 33, so I can choose any that I want. Then after that, then I click next. Then if I need to change the name, I just change it over here. Show advanced in case you need to change the RAM, because I have a bit of RAM. I'm out of RAM. I'm having 16 GB RAM, gigabytes of RAM. So in case I need to increase the RAM capacity for my emulator, then I have to come to advanced. Then I come here down. Then I increase it. In case I need maybe say 2 Gs, I'll say 2 Gs. I'll change to Gs and I'll change it to Gs. Yeah. So in case you have 2 GBs of RAM for your machine, still don't give the entire 2 GBs to the emulator, because your machine will slow down. The emulator will use actually entire RAM. So at least give it a quarter of your RAM that you're having. Let's say I'm having 16. I can give it 4, right? I can give it 3. I can give it 2, right? So that other services that I'm to run on my machine are actually going on while I'm as well coding at the same time. Yeah. And if you need to increase storage, you increase it over here. Then if you need to restrict whether you're going to run it using a cold boot or quick boot, then you choose here. In case you're having more than one graphics card, then you can either choose whether you want to use that software, or you want to use the hardware machine that you're really having. So I leave it to automatic. I want the system to be choosing for me. So I'll click finish, right? But because I don't want to create a third one, I'll click close. Then when it's done, you play it. Okay, because I activated the setting for the booting as cold boot. So previously I was using my application and I closed it. So it opened up from the most recent session I closed it on. Yeah. So that's why it opens up like that. So this is the emulator and it's the one we shall be using throughout the coding process. Yeah. And that's it. So that was the way how to install Flutter on VS Code. And the rest shall be how to create a new file, how to create a new project, and we shall dig into code in the next tutorials to come. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. Hi there.